Hello guys, and welcome back. To another video where we're working on the BMS. I think 3 or 4 videos back I showed you what I was doing with this, and I never got it finished at the time. I'm just going to go ahead and get it all hooked up. I have all of the connections from the front of the car are all coming back into here and are going into these connectors, which are for the BMS. And the ones in the middle at the bottom underneath the car there, soldered in, and I think there's 4 cells underneath this pack which are connected in. So it's just basically this rear battery pack that I need to work on. So what I'm doing is same as before. You can just see there's a little joint. I haven't soldered this one yet. I've just have the 2 wires twisted and bent over, and what I'll do is I'll solder that, and then I'll put a piece of heat shrink on it, and then I will put another piece of heat shrink on it to be sure. I hate to say how many days I've spent at this, or how many hours I've spent on it over several days, but we are starting to get somewhere. I had a problem when I was doing this. I was connecting up the wires and connecting them up to this connector here, and when I went to meter them after I had them connected, I was getting voltages in funny places, and I couldn't understand why. And it finally dawned on me that I had the lead of the multimeter on the positive instead of the negative, so I was trying to read the voltages backwards and just getting confused. So I changed that around, put the lead on the most negative, and now when I meter across this, all of the voltages are in the correct places. A couple of the connectors, like this one and that one and a few others, I had to actually depin them and turn them around, change them around, because I had done it wrong. But of course, what I then have to do at some stage is turn on the power to the car, which will connect the 2 batteries together, and these will then, the voltage in this connection will stay the same, because this connector block basically deals with the back end of the car, but all of these ones at the front will then gain another 200 volts basically, so they will be sitting at the highest voltage one will be at around about 400 volts. So that's enough to hurt, so I'll need to be careful once I do that, and wear insulated gloves. So I'll go ahead, get that soldered, get them all wrapped up again, and we'll start checking the voltages here again, and then, like I say, turn on the car and check all of the voltages and make sure every single pin is giving the correct voltage. And once I've got that, I can then consider connecting the BMS up. Excuse the mess of wires, but we are now getting to the position where we are ready to plug in the high voltage wiring, these ones, into the BMS. So what I have done is I've brought 12 volts from the front of the car down to the back through one of these cables, and have them connected. So the 12 volt system is connected to the BMS, and the Bluetooth monitor is connected to the BMS, and we are currently getting it's showing a state of charge of 11.6%, but that's just historical. That was obviously the last time we had this all plugged in, but the Bluetooth dongle is talking to Leafspy. So what I need to do now is to turn everything off, plug the leads in here, and turn it back on again and see what happens. Okay guys, just so you know what's going on here, just swing around a bit. All of this wiring is for the most part unnecessary, but it just happened to be there. I know this wiring was working before as it is, So for now I'm going to keep it like this for testing purposes. Once I get to install it in the car, obviously I'll have to get rid of most of it. But there are various things like temperature sensors there. There's one, there's another one there. I might actually just hang on to those and put them into the battery box. They're there, might as well use them. And also, I can't find my high voltage gloves, so I've put on two pairs of nitrile gloves. And of course they're orange, so everybody knows orange is high voltage, so that keeps me safe. But at the moment the voltage is not terribly high because the car isn't turned on. It will go higher once I turn it on. What I'm going to do is to set my BMS up on these boxes, and plug in these wires. I don't think it matters what the order they go in. At the moment the contactor that goes between cells 48 and 49 is already open, so there shouldn't be any issues here. Yeah, at the moment the contactor's down in this corner, but it is wired to cell 48/49 and breaks the pack at that point, so there shouldn't be any problems with just plugging this in now. And all the cables are tested, all should be well. Alright guys, here goes. Wish me luck. I'll start with the small one, which I believe is the lowest voltage, which is this one. No smoke. And the bigger one. Still no smoke. Right. So the entire pack is now, in the BMS. What I need to do is to go and turn on the ignition on the car, and then we will monitor our little app is telling us. So what I'm going to do is I'll zoom in on the app, which should not be working at the minute because everything is turned off and there's no voltage going to the Bluetooth dongle. I'll go and turn it on now. Okay, so what happened? Anything? Anything? We might have to come out and back in again. Connecting. It's not working. Okay, it's going to take a bit more work to get this going. At least it wasn't allowed buying. That's one good thing. Right, it's working, and my pack is not terribly well balanced by the looks of it. That is it. Looks like I need to rebalance my pack. So 72 millivolts sprayed. Anyway, the good news is it's working, guys. You have to set what I had to do, just so you're aware. If you click up here and go to settings and go to year, so this is the year of car. So you can either select the year of car or select BMS only, and that's what I did. And that's, I think I had accidentally selected a 2011 car because this BMS came out of a 2011 car. So I had selected that when I should have just selected BMS only. So it's working. Let's see if we can see anything else. Temperatures, we've got 20 degrees and 17 degrees. Let's see what would happen if I put my fingers on this sensor. That temperature's now climbing. So that's working, that's good. So what I'll do is I'll get that temperature sensor stripped out and wired in manually and put that into the pack, and that would be useful information. Okay, I've had the BMS plugged in now for about 10 or 15 minutes, and I don't really understand why, but it looks like the spread of voltage has actually risen to 77 millivolts instead of 72. I don't really understand what the BMS does to try and balance the pack, if it even tries to balance the pack at all. But what I'm going to do now is go and plug in the charger, and we'll just see. I'll just zoom you in, and we'll just see what happens when I plug the charger in. Okay, so we should see the voltages jump up a little. The charger it's a 3 kilowatt charger, so it does affect the voltage a small amount by plugging it in. So you can see there each of the voltages have jumped from 4.06 to 4.07 thereabouts. What I'll do is leave that on charge for an hour or so, try and get the pack up to a reasonably high charge because I need to use the car tomorrow, and we're currently getting lots of nice sunshine, so we're charging off the sun at the moment. Okay guys, so a little bit more time has passed and the BMS is now installed. Now I know it doesn't look that great, but it's pretty solid. Cable ties are in there holding it in position, and I've cut a chunk out of the bottom of the battery cover, or the floor of the boot, in order to get this in. Now I know it looks ugly, but bear with me. This will slide in there, something like that, and when I get that screwed in, it will be nice and neat. That's better. There you go. So that fits in there nicely, and let me step back and look at it. I don't think it looks too bad. I just need to get those screws in and that'll be it, nice and neat. Now the even better bit is I'll bring it into the car. Right, now we're in the car. I'll turn on the ignition. Can you see that? Not very well. There you go. It's coming up on the display on my dash. However, at the moment it's not connected because there is an issue with this, in that when I'm driving it will put up spurious errors because of where the brake in the battery is, and because the battery is split between the front and the back of the car. So I don't have it running full time. So in order to turn it on, let's try and get this working. All I have to do is push this little button here, and this should now jump into life. Hopefully. There we go, connected, and not entirely sure why it's all going red at the minute. Hopefully that will sort itself out in due course. Maybe because it's fully charged, I'm not sure. I presume that's the reason why. But anyway, the pack at the moment is fully charged, or close to it. You can see the voltage of the cells is between 4.126 and 4.14, so approximately 33 to 35 millivolts of a difference, which is not ideal, but it's not a disaster. So we now have a working BMS, albeit I have to actually manually turn it off and on as and when I want the BMS to operate. What would happen is, I can actually show you what would happen if I put the car into 4th gear, pull the handbrake on hard and try to accelerate. Watch what happens to cell number 39 or 40. So we're drawing some current now as I'm trying to strain forward, and cell 40 is dropping. You can see cell 40 dropped right down. And if I go to charge the car, cell 40 goes high. And the reason for that is because of the resistance between cell 40 and 41. So it's just something I have to live with. The BMS will be something that I use from time to time just to confirm that the pack is still in balance. But it can't be used all of the time because of that because of that issue with cell 40. So anyway, at least we've got a good. At least you can see now that the pack is very well balanced. You can see that some of the ones that were quite high at the start of the video, I've managed to bring them back down again just purely by putting some bulbs on the modules and the cells that were high, and I've pulled them down to an acceptable level, so they're pretty close to the rest. Anyway guys, I hope this has been of interest to you. BMSs are not the most exciting things in the world, but it's kind of interesting to see the difference in voltages and so on between each cell. Hopefully you've enjoyed this. If you have, thank you for watching, and see you next time. Bye for now.